Welcome to an extraordinary tale from the ancient world, where faith meets warfare in the most epic confrontation ever recorded. Today we journey back 3,000 years to witness a battle that defied the very laws of nature itself. In the rugged hills of Canaan, where bronze weapons clashed and kingdoms rose and fell like desert winds, one story stands above all others. This is the account of how deception sparked divine intervention, and how the sun itself became a weapon of war. Our tale begins in an age when gods walked among mortals and miracles shaped the destiny of nations. The Israelites, fresh from their miraculous exodus from Egypt, stood poised to claim their promised inheritance. But standing in their path were the mighty Amorite kingdoms, whose warriors had never known defeat and whose kings ruled with absolute power. The stage was set for a collision that would reshape the ancient world forever. In the ancient land of Canaan, where legends were forged in blood and divine intervention shaped the fate of nations, one battle would echo through eternity. The sun itself would bow to the will of the Almighty in this most sacred of conflicts. The Gibeonites, a cunning people dwelling in the heart of the Promised Land, faced certain annihilation as Joshua's unstoppable army swept across Canaan. Their survival depended not on strength of arms, but on the sharpness of their wit and the boldness of their deception. Donning tattered garments and carrying moldy bread, these desperate souls appeared before Joshua's camp as weary travelers from distant lands. Their sandals were worn, their wineskins cracked, and their story carefully crafted to deceive the very servants of the Most High God. Joshua and the elders of Israel, moved by what appeared to be genuine distress, failed to seek divine counsel in this crucial moment. The treaty was signed, the oath sworn before the Lord, binding Israel to protect these supposed foreigners from distant shores. But deception has a way of revealing itself, and within 3 days the truth emerged like dawn breaking over the mountains of Judah. The Gibeonites were neighbors, not distant travelers, dwelling in the very land Israel was commanded to conquer completely. The revelation struck Joshua like lightning, yet the oath had been sworn in the name of the Lord of hosts. Honor demanded that the covenant be kept, even though it had been born of lies and sealed with treachery. The consequences of this unholy alliance rippled across the political landscape of Canaan like wildfire consuming dry grass. 5 mighty Amorite kings, rulers of the most powerful city-states in the region, beheld this unprecedented alliance with growing alarm. Adoni-Zedek of Jerusalem, whose very name meant Lord of Righteousness, summoned his fellow monarchs to council. The kings of Hebron, Jarmuth, Lachish, and Eglon answered his call, their hearts burning with unified purpose and righteous indignation. These were no ordinary rulers, but warrior kings whose ancestors had carved kingdoms from the wilderness with sword and spear. Their cities commanded the mountain passes, their armies had never known defeat, and their gods had blessed their conquests for generations. The coalition formed with the speed of eagles descending upon their prey, 5 armies converging on the trembling city of Gibeon. The earth shook beneath the march of their chariots, and the sky darkened with the dust of their advancing multitudes. In Gibeon, terror gripped the hearts of the people as they beheld the approaching storm of bronze and iron. Their deception had worked too well, and now they faced the wrath of the most powerful military alliance in Canaan. Desperate messengers raced through the night toward Gilgal, where Joshua's army lay encamped in the Jordan Valley. The message was simple yet profound: "Come quickly, for your servants are under siege by all the kings of the mountains." Joshua faced a moment that would define his legacy and test the very foundations of his faith. Would he honor a treaty born of deception, or would he abandon the Gibeonites to their fate? The answer came not from human wisdom but from divine revelation, as the Lord of hosts spoke to his chosen servant. The command was clear: "Fear not, for I have delivered them into your hands, and not one of them shall stand before you." In the darkness before dawn, Joshua's army began one of the most remarkable military marches in ancient history. 32 kilometers of treacherous mountain terrain lay between Gilgal and Gibeon, a journey that would test the limits of human endurance. The warriors of Israel climbed from the Jordan Valley's depths to the heights of the central mountain range. Every step was a testament to their faith, every breath a prayer for strength to reach the battle in time. Through ravines and across ridges, the army of the living God advanced like a divine avalanche. The night air rang with the rhythm of marching feet and the whispered prayers of 10,000 faithful hearts. As the first light of dawn painted the eastern sky, Joshua's forces crested the final ridge overlooking the valley of Gibeon. Below them stretched the vast encampment of the 5 kings, their armies arranged in perfect siege formation around the trembling city. The element of surprise, that most precious of military advantages, belonged entirely to the servants of the Most High. The Amorites, confident in their overwhelming numbers and strategic position, had not posted adequate guards on the mountain approaches. Joshua's battle cry split the morning air like the trumpet of judgment itself, and 10,000 voices answered in terrible harmony. The warriors of Israel descended upon their enemies like the wrath of heaven, their swords gleaming in the rising sun. The first moments of battle are always the most crucial, determining whether victory or defeat will crown the day's work. The Amorites, caught completely off guard, struggled to form their battle lines as chaos erupted throughout their camp. Israeli spears found their marks with deadly precision, while the war cries of the chosen people struck terror into hearts that had never known fear. The tide of battle turned in those first precious minutes, as divine favor became manifest through human courage. The 5 kings, witnessing their carefully laid plans crumbling like sand before the tide, ordered a general retreat. Their armies, moments before so confident in victory, now fled in panic toward the western valleys and the coastal plains. But this was no ordinary retreat, for the God of Israel had not finished demonstrating his power to the nations. As the fleeing Amorites descended toward Beth Horon, the very heavens opened to reveal the arsenal of the Almighty. Stones of ice, larger than a man's fist, began to fall from the cloudless sky with the force of catapult projectiles. The hailstones struck with supernatural precision, finding only the enemies of Israel while leaving the chosen people untouched. More Amorites died beneath this celestial bombardment than had fallen to Israeli swords throughout the morning's battle. The very elements of creation fought alongside Joshua's army, proving that the Lord of hosts was indeed the God of gods. As the day wore on and the pursuit continued, Joshua realized that darkness would allow many enemies to escape. The retreating armies would find sanctuary in the caves and fortresses of the western regions, living to fight another day. In that moment of divine inspiration, Joshua raised his voice in the most audacious prayer ever recorded in military history. He commanded the sun to stand still over Gibeon, and the moon to halt its course over the valley of Ajalon. The cosmic machinery of creation itself obeyed the voice of this mortal man, backed by the authority of the eternal God. The sun stopped in its course, suspended in the heavens like a burning eye of divine judgment. For nearly a full day, the light of heaven remained fixed in the sky, allowing Israel to complete their victory. No day before or since has witnessed such a miracle, when the Creator of time itself bent the laws of nature to serve his purposes. The extended daylight transformed a tactical victory into a strategic triumph of overwhelming proportions. Every enemy soldier who had participated in the siege of Gibeon paid the ultimate price for their rebellion against the chosen people. The 5 kings, their armies destroyed and their plans in ruins, sought refuge in a cave near Makkedah. But there is no hiding place from the eyes of the Almighty, and their location was soon discovered by Israeli scouts. Joshua ordered the cave mouth sealed with great stones, posting guards to ensure the royal prisoners could not escape. The battle must be completed, the enemy forces totally destroyed, before dealing with these architects of rebellion. The pursuit continued with relentless intensity, as the warriors of Israel showed no mercy to those who had dared to stand against the purposes of God. Every city that had sent soldiers to besiege Gibeon felt the sharp edge of divine justice. When the last enemy had fallen and the final stronghold had been captured, Joshua returned to deal with the captive kings. The time had come for a demonstration that would echo through the corridors of history. The 5 monarchs were dragged from their rocky prison, their royal robes torn and their crowns lost in the chaos of defeat. These men who had ruled as gods among their people now trembled before the servant of the true God. Joshua summoned his military commanders and ordered them to place their feet upon the necks of the fallen kings. This ancient ritual of domination sent a clear message to all who would hear. Resistance to Israel was resistance to the Almighty himself. The execution that followed was swift and decisive, as the 5 kings paid the ultimate price for their rebellion. Their bodies were hung upon trees until evening, then buried in the very cave where they had sought refuge. Word of this supernatural victory spread like wildfire throughout the land of Canaan, carrying terror to every heart that opposed Israel. The psychological impact was perhaps even greater than the military consequences. Kings who had once stood proud and defiant now cowered behind the walls of their cities, knowing that neither strength of arms nor alliance with neighbors could stand against the God of Israel. The reputation of Joshua's army had become a weapon more powerful than any sword. The strategic implications of this single battle reshaped the entire conquest of Canaan, opening the Central Highlands to Israeli control. The mountain passes, the trade routes, and the fortified cities all lay vulnerable to the advancing armies of the chosen people. From this victory, military leaders throughout history have drawn lessons in courage, strategy, and the importance of divine favor. The principles demonstrated at Gibeon have been studied in war colleges and analyzed by generals for over 3 millennia. Joshua's willingness to honor a treaty born of deception showed that integrity in leadership transcends circumstances. His rapid response to the Gibeonite crisis demonstrated that decisive action, backed by divine authority, can overcome seemingly impossible odds. The coordination between human strategy and divine intervention at Gibeon became a template for understanding how heaven and earth can work together. When mortal effort aligns with eternal purpose, even the laws of nature bend to serve the greater good. The extended daylight that allowed Israel to complete their victory reminds us that time itself serves the purposes of the Almighty. In our own battles against overwhelming odds, we can take courage from this ancient demonstration of divine power. The destruction of the 5 king alliance removed the greatest military threat to Israel's conquest of the Promised Land. Never again would the Amorites be able to mount such a coordinated resistance to the advancing armies of the chosen people. The cities that had sent their warriors to besiege Gibeon now lay defenseless, their walls unmanned and their gates unguarded. The southern campaign that followed would sweep through Canaan like a divine hurricane, leaving no enemy stronghold intact. This legendary battle stands as testament to the truth that those who align themselves with the purposes of God, even through deception and fear, can find protection under the shadow of the Almighty. The Gibeonites survived and thrived, becoming servants in the house of the Lord. The War of the 5 Amorite Kings marks a turning point in the conquest of Canaan, the moment when resistance transformed into inevitability. From this day forward, the name of Joshua would strike terror into the hearts of every enemy of Israel. In the annals of military history, few battles have combined human courage with divine intervention so dramatically. The extended day at Gibeon remains unique among all the conflicts ever fought, a reminder that the God of Israel is indeed the Lord of hosts. As we reflect on this ancient victory, we see timeless principles that apply to our own spiritual battles and life challenges. When we align our purposes with divine will, even the impossible becomes achievable through faith and decisive action. The legacy of Gibeon teaches us that honor matters more than convenience, that courage can overcome overwhelming odds, and that divine favor can suspend the very laws of nature. These truths echo through the centuries, as relevant today as they were 3,000 years ago. If you found this epic retelling of ancient history inspiring and educational, please subscribe to our channel for more incredible stories from the past. Like this video if it helped you understand the profound lessons embedded in this legendary battle, and share it with others who appreciate the intersection of faith, history, and divine intervention in human affairs.